First thing in the morning, I have to clean up the back seat, which is my bed. I don't have anything special going on back there. It is just the bench.
Welcome back to Other People's Lives. I'm Joe Santagato.
I'm Greg Dybec.
Just want to give a quick shout out to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/OPL show, where if you sign up, you get bonus episodes and you get to see behind the scenes of every episode that we do that week. Usually we post those in the beginning of the week, so you find out what comes out on Thursday, and you get a look at how me and Greg kind of do our thing.
Yeah, and today we're speaking with a woman named Nikita Crump. She has essentially chosen to be homeless, I guess, for lack of a better term. So we've got her on the line. So thanks for being on today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. So can you just explain to us, what that means, I guess, being homeless on purpose or choosing to be homeless?
Yeah, I think some people have gotten kind of confused what I meant by that because I can be kind of vague sometimes. So people have this idea that I just thought it would be fun one day to live in my car. But it was basically a few months of me contemplating how I was going to solve my struggle financially. And I have lived in my car previously because I had nowhere to go. So I thought I would do it again in order to give myself more freedom because I was struggling financially. So I thought, screw this. I'll live in my car again. I did it before and be able to enjoy my life. And I mean, that's how it's turned out.
Interesting. So, I mean, when did this start?
Well, I moved into my car. My first day was November 1st, 2019. So we're rolling up on a year.
Wow. Okay. So what kind of in preparation for that, did you plan to sort of just drive around, or you're just like, I'm just going to live in my car but stay in the same spot? Or did you have these traveling aspirations as well?
Well, traveling was a huge part of the financial part of it. I would be able to afford to travel more, but I did and do still have a stationary job. So I do still have a home base, city or general area that I stay in. So I just am able to now take my time off of work or take my weekends and afford to travel the way I want to.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's like you have kind of an established life, I guess you could say, around the fact that you're living in your car.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you said that it was, I guess, financial reasons at first. What do you mean by that? Just struggling to pay rent and things like that, where you were just kind of like, let me get rid of what I assume is, most people's biggest expense, which is their rent?
Yeah, exactly. I was living a pretty average life, but very paycheck to paycheck, checking my bank account or avoiding checking my bank account because I knew how bad it would be if I looked. And I got tired of not being able to afford to go out for food with friends. I wouldn't get invited because my friends knew I couldn't afford to go eat with them. And I hated that I couldn't go do those things and do basic things that people do to stay happy.
So now that you have sort of, moved into your car, I mean, you've been doing it for a year now, so I'm assuming it's working out pretty well. Do you now prefer it?
Since my, I guess, story has been more public and looked at recently, I've gotten that question and I haven't known exactly how to answer it because I haven't put thought into that. I mean, I've grown used to it. I don't have any distaste for it. I'm not like, why am I doing this? This is annoying. I need to figure something else out. I'm happy. So I guess you could say, yeah, I've been enjoying it in a sense.
And the job that you have now, is that the job that you had originally when you decided to move into your car, or is it a different job?
It's actually a different job. I had started it before I began to move in my car. So I was working retail, and that's when I was living very paycheck to paycheck, and I got the job that I work now as a second job. to help myself out. But it's closed over the winter, so when I moved into my car, it was closing down. So it was still just my one primary job, really. However, come 2020, I essentially got promoted over at my second job to being full-time and quit my first. So
Nice. So is that something that could allow you in the near future, if you wanted to kind of go the route of let me pay rent again, let me get, an apartment? Is that something that you'd be able to do, or would that kind of put you right back in the same position that you were in, where sure, you can have a roof over your head, but the quality of life just wouldn't really be there because you're not able to, enjoy anything outside of paying rent?
yeah, it'd be quite similar. I make a little bit more money, so I'd be able to do a small amount more, but I'd still be struggling. And I'm sure a lot of people could say, "Well, get a second job or something," but I've done that, and I am not a fan of working 60 hours a week. I'd rather live in my car and have time to myself than make enough money just to have a roof under my head that I don't spend time in anyway.
So can you kind of explain how you live in your car and like what sort of things, just your morning routine even, like how do you brush your teeth, how do you shower, things like that?
Yeah, whenever I was thinking about doing this, I had to run through like, okay, what are the things that I'm not going to have access to, and what am I going to do to solve that and gain access? So first thing in the morning, I have to like clean up the back seat, which is my bed. I don't have anything special going on back there. It is just the bench. So I just fold up my blankets and such. And then I have these window coverings that I made out of this insulation that is known as Reflectix. So it's just cut to the shape of my windows. I take those down and tuck them away, and I head to my gym. I subscribe to a 24-hour gym so that way I can shower whenever I need, and it's also like an emergency bathroom if need be, but there's toilets everywhere. Everyone always asks me where I use the bathroom, but I mean, anywhere you go, gas stations, Target, Walmart, you name it, there's toilets everywhere. So that's really not that much of an issue. And then I, of course, do my laundry at laundromats. And then in my free time, if I'm not doing anything like maybe hanging out with a friend, traveling, or hiking, I just find other places to go, like cafes, or maybe go hang out at a park. If it's really hot out, I've even been desperate enough to just lay out at a park to take a nap, because I obviously can't be napping in my car when it's 100 degrees out in Northern California.
Okay, that seems like a smart solution. Especially like with the gym. I think that answers a lot of questions right there, just to have that kind of resource nearby. And it's interesting just that, it's just something that no one would expect, I assume, when they meet you, especially, since you're working a job during the day and, other people are going back to their homes or apartments and you're going back to your car, but, you're doing the same thing that they're doing, in terms of work and just kind of the day to day, other than, I guess, figuring out, how to just do the basic things, really, like brush your teeth, go to the bathroom, shower. Yeah, that's interesting. So is it like you're like, I don't want this to sound like a small-minded question, but I've obviously only ever lived in a house or had an apartment. Like, does it feel like you're always on the go? Like, does it feel like something's missing in that sense? Or like when you get back to your car, like, is there a comfort level where you just feel like, okay, this is home base and I'm comfortable here, the same way someone might have a long day at work, come back to their apartment and just, feel comfortable. Okay, I'm back in my own home.
I would say that it's a little of both, in that some people say like they could never do it, but I think people would be surprised at how you can adjust and you can get somewhat of a sense of it being like a home base. That being said, not entirely. Every single time I crawl back into my back seat to go to sleep, I am very aware of how it is not a home. It is weird. It stands out to me every single night that what I'm doing is odd and that it's not home.
So what do you do for like I mean, electricity. I mean, I know that cars, obviously, there's some outlets there, but do you have like a generator or something? I imagine you would need more than a car would have to offer as far as electricity goes.
Yeah, one thing, probably my only larger investment that I made when planning this was, okay, how am I going to keep my phone charged? So I invested a small amount, well, relatively small amount of money into this device by Jackery. It's a, portable power station, so I can charge it through my car outlet whenever I'm driving around, or I'm also able to take it into work to charge it there, and it'll charge my phone for like a week.
Oh wow, that comes in handy. Nice. Is this might be a dumb question, but is this like, is it legal? Is it illegal? Like, are you allowed to just live in your car, like park in a parking lot or pull over to the side of the road?
I've never looked into the legalities of it. I assume that it is. I think it'd be weird if it was illegal to live in your car, but who's to say? But I do have to, of course, make sure that I'm not parking in places where it's like a tow away zone or customers only, or somebody might just get sketched out because my car's lingering around for hours and hours. So I have to kind of scout out places to park.
Now, as far as, food goes, I would imagine that it is, I mean, I think it is, cheaper to just cook your own meals than eat out every single night. So what do you do for food?
Um, to be honest, I need to work on a more stable plan for that, but I don't do too bad. I grocery shop and take food into my work. I'm lucky to have, and the previous job I had, I also had this situation where we have a refrigerator, a small kitchenette, so I have things like a microwave, an electric pitcher, a toaster, and things like that. And then the job that I currently do still have today is a very small company, so the very few people I work with don't care that I also brought in a small blender, an electric heat element, so I can actually use basically a tiny stove and a tiny oven and a rice cooker.
So the people that you surround yourself with, like people at work, I assume, groups of friends, they're all aware of this, and is this something that you're just completely open about?
Actually, no. I just told my boss, who owns the company I work for, and it's, again, very close knit. There's only a few of us, so I see him every day, and he didn't know about it until yesterday. I told him, and he was surprised, had no idea, and I've only told people that I felt like I needed to, or that would be comfortable with it, not judge me for it, and just accept it.
So with this sort of, plan, because I mean, you said that last time, I'm sorry, I don't know if I are you able to afford an apartment if you needed to, or does it just not like give you the life that you want to live? You would have to work more hours so you could live in the apartment, but ultimately you could, but this is just a more efficient way to live the way you want and save money.
Yeah, so it's both. Like I could easily work a second job, afford a home, but I would be working for no reason because I would have no time. Again, for part of this experience, I have done that and I had no time to myself at all. And I don't prefer that. I'd rather have a little less money and more time to myself. That's a lot more valuable to me. That being said, I would still be quite tight on income if I was paying rent.
Yeah, so the reason why I'm asking that is has this become an efficient way of saving money? And in the time, I mean, it's been a calendar year since, I mean, almost since you've started doing this. Do you find it to be super efficient in saving money, and like your plan is like working out?
Yeah, I would say I'm much better off financially, of course. I'm able to have a small amount of savings now, which is a work in progress. I plan to continue it, and I I don't know what an end date would be, because it's going well.
Yeah, and I think that so many people could relate to this, of course, where so many people just live their lives paycheck to paycheck. So many people have found ways to tack on more hours, but like you said, is the sacrifice worth it? Is giving up essentially all of your free time worth it to have a little more money? And that's what's so interesting. And I'm sure a lot of people in that position, this has probably crossed their minds, or maybe has even been sort of a fantasy in a way. What if I could cut out the biggest expense of my life and still figure out a way to live and save more and have free time to myself? And it's really cool to hear that you chose that, and that that you're experimenting with it right now. I think a lot of people would think it but not take that step, so it's really cool to hear. And it's also really cool, I think, to just hear you be so open about finances. I think that's something that people really try to kind of hold close, right? And a lot of people, if they were in a situation like that, they would probably try to avoid talking about it, avoid letting it be known, like, I'm not doing so well financially right now, or it's hard for me to save money. If anything, people just kind of lie and fake it. But I think you being so open about that, and then finding this sort of alternative way to experiment with is something that a lot of people will find interesting and helpful, and maybe even find that it's a path for themselves.
Yeah, I have to say I relate to the people who do try to hide any financial struggle, because at the beginning of this I wasn't very open about it, and probably my biggest reason was because I didn't want people to know I was financially struggling, because I didn't want a pity party. Like, I didn't want people to reach out and try to help me. I think that's very nice, but I just I'd rather figure out stuff on my own and not feel indebted to other people. So I wasn't open about financially struggling at first. I kind of put it more in a sense of like, it's just something I want to experience. But so yeah, I can relate to people hiding that. But now that it's panned out well, and I've grown comfortable with this, and I know that I can stick with it and be happy, it's easier for me to say, like, yeah, I did this because I was broke.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's like you're, I think, one of few people, or you're probably in the minority in general, where people are faced with circumstances, whatever it may be, and are we actually choosing our own happiness over a paycheck, over more money? And I just think it's more comfortable, it's safer to pick the paycheck, pick the money, pick that path that kind of makes more sense. But it's always cool to come across people that are like, no, my happiness is actually my priority here, and if this lifestyle affords me more happiness personally, then that's the one that I'm going to pursue. And I think it takes a lot of courage to even do that.
Oh, well, thanks. And yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think some people have thought that I've been insane, and why would I pick this over just get a different job or just get a second job. But to me, I mean, this is what I value. I think time is one of the most precious things we have, the one thing we can't control, and I refuse to give that up to something like money.
And is this something that you are open about with your family? Like, do they know that you're living in your car?
I think my dad actually found out because he stumbled across my YouTube. I don't know when he found out. He definitely didn't know for months. All kinds of people around me didn't know for months. They would talk to me about something they purchased and tell me I should try it too, but it would be something that's large, that is like out of question, can't fit in my car, and I would just have to humor them and be like, yeah, I'll look into it. And that's kind of what I did with my family. I didn't tell them. I just would roll with basically white lying about it, if you will.
Have your parents ever offered to like help financially, or would you not be willing to like accept that sort of help either?
Yeah, I don't know that I could accept that, because again, I'm just not one for asking for help. I would rather sort it out on my own and not feel like I owe somebody something, or like I'm a burden to somebody else. But to be honest, my dad probably wouldn't offer it to me. He's one of those like figure it out yourself kind of people. Um, and I've just never considered it.
So yeah, it seems like you just really want to be, as self-sufficient, I guess, as possible through this time in your life.
Yeah, that's important to me.
I'm curious, what's the sort of biggest challenge, or when you first started experimenting with this lifestyle, was, maybe like the hardest thing to get used to? Like, I know for me, I'm so bad at falling asleep like anywhere that's not my bed or a bed, and that would probably take me a long time to get used to, like sleeping in the back of the car. But is there anything like specific that comes to mind that was really challenging and took some time to get used to?
Probably initially the biggest struggle that I had with it was just feeling like everyone knew. Going into the gym, I would purposely change clothes before I would go inside to make it look like I was actually going to work out, so that nobody knew that I was not doing that, and that I was going in just to shower, because I felt like the employees see me go in and they see me only spending 20 minutes there. My hair is wet on my way out. Did she just come here to shower? And I felt like people were on to me. They knew I was homeless, and I felt uncomfortable about that. So that general discomfort was my hardest part.
I'm also curious about like how much your expenses are, like roughly, like since you're saving money on so many things, you're not paying gas in a different sort of way, but like, electric bills or your rent or, anything like that. So do you kind of have a budget of how much you actually are spending so that people can like kind of understand like, oh yeah, I'm only spending like $600 a month on like things I need to live or something like that?
I don't have like a written out, like I haven't done the math on like what my lifestyle minimum costs me per month, but I would say just ballpark, the things that I pay for to sustain this, not things like paying for Netflix, but the necessities for this, I would say I probably am spending like, I drive a lot, so I might spend $400 a month in gas. And I mean, aside from that, it costs me like maybe $10 a month to do laundry, $27 to have a gym membership. And I think those are my only necessities for this lifestyle. So, I mean, that's really minimal.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you didn't say food in that equation, right? That would just kind of be the
Yeah, so that varies so much for me. Sometimes it's really cheap and low. I might spend like $250 a month if I'm having like and other times maybe I'm more active because my friend's visiting me, so we're going out or something. So that can vary quite a bit. But
essentially it seems like well under $1,000 a month, all in for all expenses. It seems like even spending $1,000 would be like splurging.
Yeah.
That's pretty minimal. That's really interesting. And I was actually specifically going to ask about Netflix because like, I was wondering if that's something you sacrifice, or all your friends like, oh, you got to, see the show that just came out, or do you actually have a subscription and you watch, on your phone or your laptop in your car?
So before I moved into my car and I was super broke, I would complain to my best friend about it pretty often, and just stress relieve to her. So she was like, trying to figure out ways she could help me without like giving me money, because that's not something we care to do. So I unsubscribed to things like that, like Netflix, and just like a lot of other people, I just hopped onto her plans for things like that. And I mean, we're still friends to this day, so I still just use her accounts for those things. But
I think we all use someone else's account, to be honest.
None of my accounts are mine. None of them.
Yeah. I don't think they're anyone's. I don't know whose they are.
Yeah, I just, we have like 15 different profiles on Hulu, Netflix, Apple. Yeah. That's it. I don't pay for any of it.
Yeah, it's a way to do it.
Interesting. So, and then for your phone too, like, is a phone plan an expense, or do you just kind of hop on Wi-Fi any chance you could get?
So I do the Straight Talk.
Like a prepaid.
Yeah, which is great to me because I don't like how unpredictable life can be. So I'm not about contracts. So prepaid is the way to go in my opinion. And yeah, straight talk. So it's super affordable if you're not paying rent.
Nice. Yeah. And now I have to ask the question everyone's thinking. Are you dating? Is it like, how does that work? Would you be open with someone about that? Would you bring them to the car one night? Like, how like intimate would you get with, you know, like about your situation if you met someone, or are you dating someone now?
Well, I actually just began talking to someone. I don't know if I would say that we are dating, but he's been out of state for the time that I've been speaking to him. So, although he does know that I live in my car, actually, the whole reason that I have virtually met him is because of my lifestyle. He found my video that like BuzzFeed or Lad Bible posted and reached out to me. So that started a little bit of a thing there.
Oh, wow. Way to shoot your shot, guy. Nice.
Yeah, so funnily enough, this lifestyle opened that up for me. But previously, I haven't really. It's not necessarily that I haven't gone on dates while living in my car, but it just hasn't like really formally been dates. So like I've hung out with a guy here and there, and it's like clearly been like some flirty intentions, but nothing where like we were committed to each other. So I can't speak for how it would be for myself if I like had a boyfriend. Do I stay at his house or something? I don't know how that would go because I haven't experienced that yet.
Yeah.
Also, I actually had a question too, because I mean, you said this happened, you started in November of last year, but then like the height of COVID was like March, April. Like how did that kind of like did that change your job at all? Were you out of work, or like what did that do to your lifestyle?
Yeah, so at the time, at the beginning of COVID is when I was working the two jobs and I was overloaded, and I was actually on the brink of quitting my second one. So COVID shut down big retail, so my second job was shut down. So that was actually a relief for me. And then my first job took a hard hit. It's a small local company, and income stopped coming in. So I just worked a lot less. If anything, it was really good that I lived in my car during that time, because I don't know what I would have done money-wise. I mean, I would have had to just go get a different job, because the reason I was able to live through that is because I didn't have rent to pay and stuff. So taking a cut on my income didn't hurt me as much as it would have if I did still live in a home. But yeah, I had to, you already feel kind of lost living in a vehicle, especially like just an average vehicle, not a van. But I felt quite lost during that when there's orders to stay at home and I don't have a home. So I'm like, well, where does that mean I go?
Right.
I can't go to cafes anymore.
Yeah, like what happened when the gym closed?
Yeah, I didn't have a bathroom. I didn't stress too much about it. I knew I'd figured it out, and I did get lucky. I had, just by chance, kind of like person by person, one kind of fell off as another one picked up, offering me help to come use their bathroom and be able to shower and have a toilet and things like that, because you couldn't even go to a gas station to use the bathroom. So I had like a guy reach out to me on Instagram who offered me to use his resources, and I did that. We became friends, and I used his bathroom for like a month or so, and then a different friend offered, so I used hers for a month, and it just kind of kept happening like that until things started opening back up, and then I was able to stop needing that help.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, if you survive that with this lifestyle, then I'm sure that gives you confidence, going forward, that, you'll be able to adjust and kind of make it work no matter what comes your way. Because yeah, when you live in your car, nothing's crazier than like the entire country getting shut down around you.
Yeah, it was a weird time for me.
So before we wrap up, like I'm curious, you mentioned BuzzFeed, Lad Bible. So It's, what we saw a video as well that went, I guess you could say viral, in terms of kind of like your story, some video clips about your life, and, it really piqued our interest. So you're definitely getting attention now. You're getting a following, which is funny, like the irony of that, I guess. But do you feel responsible at all to like almost be a face of this lifestyle, because it's kind of its unique thing, right? Like I know a lot of people will say, okay, I'm getting a van and I'm going to trick out this van and there's going to be a bed in it and I'm going to just live free for a year. But let's be real, like a lot of those people either have the money saved up, they have the funds. It's a luxury to do something like that. Whereas it's really interesting hearing your story, because this isn't a luxury. This isn't, something that you chose to do for Instagram. This is your life. You were financially struggling and, now you're here and you're making it work. But it's funny that the kind of Instagram and social media popularity ended up coming with it. So like, how does that change things? Are you able to turn that into potentially business at all for yourself? Or, like I said in the beginning, do you feel responsible to like show people like more aspects of your life and open yourself up more? Or I guess how has that changed things for you?
Yeah, so it's been really ironic because again, like, yes, I had some YouTube videos up at the start of this, so I had some public platform where I was being somewhat open about this. But that being said, I had like 60 people that were subscribed to me, so I really didn't feel like I was being very open about it. And locally, I wasn't really telling anyone. No one knew. So it was something I was struggling with, something I was hiding and I was uncomfortable with, and trying to learn my way through. And now that suddenly, I made one TikTok video and here we are.
Right.
Now I'm happier, and now people have their eyes on me and they see it as, oh, you just chose this. This is just fun for you. You're not homeless because homeless people don't choose it. When I have a lot of things to say about that. I think when you don't have a home, you don't have a home. But they're definitely missing the context of it, which is that that's not how this started. I wasn't happy when this started. I didn't do it for funsies and just to get some, I guess they're calling it clout now, because I've gotten some comments about that. This was something I used to hide. And today I'm more comfortable with it and I'm more financially stable and living a happier life. So now I'm like forward and open about it. And so there's like some conflict on opinion of the image that I'm creating, but I'm just being open and just sharing my life. That said, now that things have picked up and I do have this sudden surprising traffic and followers and subscribers, it is a dream of mine to be able to create that kind of content and connect with people and spend my life traveling. I didn't think I would get there doing it this way. I was hoping to one day fulfill that dream by traveling and creating that kind of content. Here we are having some success in that aspect because I'm homeless. But I do plan to hopefully continue that and continue showing the way that I live and turn my life into that kind of platform where I can sustain myself from that YouTube videos and TikToks.
Yeah. No, 100%. That's awesome. And with that said, can you let everyone know, where they can find your content? Because I'm sure listeners, viewers would love to see, what your day-to-day looks like, what you look like, what your setup looks like. So definitely let them know where they can find your channels.
Yeah, on YouTube, my name is Nikita Crump. I believe you can also find it under the handle Raschel91, which is RASCHELL 91. And then on TikTok, it is Nikita Raschel. Unfortunately, my name is kind of unique, so I have to spell that out, which is NIKITARASCHELL.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you taking the time and talking to us today. I think it's a really cool story, and I think that it's not a coincidence that a lot of people, started to follow you once they saw your story. It sort of like resonates with people. So again, thank you so much for coming on, and we appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And we wish you the best of luck, and keep us posted on the journey.
Yeah, will do. You guys have a good one.
All right, you too. She's cool.
We meet a lot of cool people on the show.
I want to be her friend.
One day when COVID ends, we're gonna have to go on like a tour around the country
just
and
meet everyone.
all these cool people, because we always end these episodes like, I feel like I
damn.
have a new friend. We're gonna have to hang out with them one day.
I know. I feel like I think it's fucking gangster as shit that she's just fucking in her car, just like, yeah, I'm just gonna do this thing. I'm gonna figure it out. And when people, there's a certain way that people like refuse help, where it's like, oh my god, relax, don't be a martyr, like, and it's like annoying. But with her, there's like this energy about her that's like, I'm good. Like, I feel like she's a very simple person, and a part of her feels like very confident in herself to figure it out. And I feel like I'm that type of person also, where I'm like, I'm fine, I'm good. Like, I don't need you to, you know what I mean? Like, help me out, or like with $1, like, help me out with like, just some suggestions, some advice, whatever. And I think that's just like a really cool like thing. And I mean, it's not every day that you meet someone who's just like, yeah, I live in my car, and it's not like a tricked out van that fucking Exhibit did, fucking West Coast Customs
at all.
Yeah, pimp my ride.
I knew that would resonate with you for some reason too, but because there is something cool about that, because it's like, well, it shows you that there's other ways to help people. I think people are so quick to jump to like, all right, let me get out the wallet. What do you need? And it's like, not that it's demeaning, but there's other ways to help.
It is
like,
demeaning though.
It's like as simple, yes, but yeah, I guess in certain scenarios for sure. But for her, it's like, it's cool that there were people who assess the situation like, what's going to go further than $1. It's not the money. It's use my bathroom. Use my shower once a week. Yeah. I think no matter what, nice. Welcome to the show. We should interview him one day.
Oh, maybe. Sorry. But yeah, no, to your point where it's like, if you just give someone like $100, it's like, cool, this is like will last me for this long, but it's so much more meaningful for, there's a fucking global pandemic and I have nowhere to go. And you're like, yeah, use my bathroom whenever you want. Like, that's way more valuable than, just the dollar amount. And also just like, there is something demeaning about like, I'll just give you $100. You need it more than me. And like, maybe that's an insecurity thing, because I have that when it comes to certain things. And like, I realize like, that's probably just a me problem, and like me being insecure and someone clearly trying to do the right thing. But it's like, I don't need this. I need like, the advice, the suggestions, and just conversation, honestly. Yeah. And like I said, I just think she has a vibe about her that's like super chill and like cool. And like this, and
she's exhausting. Like, she's exhausting all options. Like, that's what's cool. It's like, because I agree. I think there was part of me that was thinking when she was saying that, like, oh, like really, like you have parents who might be able to help and this and that. But it's like, a lot of people may call for help before they've really tried themselves, and I think that's really all it is for her, is like, I'm just going to try. Like, I'm not at rock bottom. Like, there's things that I can do. There's a change to my lifestyle, and she's just down to try all those options first.
That was the perfect way to put it. That's the difference between some people, and that's who I consider myself, is like, when something goes wrong, I don't ask someone like immediately, like, hey man, I need help fixing this problem, blah blah blah. It's like, you try yourself and you try your best until you feel like, I have done all I could, I can't do this anymore, and now I need some help. I'm sure that her parents, although she described them as like, kind of figure it out on your own type of shit, like, I get that. I mean, I think my dad's the same way, where it's kind of like, you are just try it first before you whatever. Right. But if I desperately needed their help, like, obviously, you could rely on some people and your friends and, whatever, but you don't want to be a burden to anyone. So it's like, let me just figure this out. And I think it's awesome that she did figure it out. I mean, finding that thing, I've never even heard of this, like, this shit that she was talking about, that you could charge your phone for like a week.
Yeah.
And you know, the little cutout things that you're putting in your car, and, you know, the gym thing, like, that only comes with experience. Like, I'm asking the question during this episode because I genuinely don't know. And I wouldn't have, like, I don't even think of, like, oh, just sign up for a gym, use those showers, you know? Like, you have to be living in that to figure out these things that are seemingly, like, obvious to people who are in the situation. But, like, I just find that so cool, that just becoming resourceful.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And like,
when you need it, when you really need it.
There's so many things in this world, like, so many resources that we have now, like, compared to people who lived in, like, 1912. And we probably don't even use them to their max potential. But when you're in a situation like that where you have to, like, budget like crazy, but you could still get by if you're smart about it. Like, I just think that's really cool. And she's like, you know, a really fucking, you know, brave for being like, fuck it, I'm just gonna live in my car. Like, I just think that's fucking cool, man.
Yeah,
you know?
It is, and I think that's why she's gaining the following, like, rightfully so. I think because there is that interest in that, is like, you know, we all, or a lot of us, live beyond our means in certain ways. So it's always really interesting to kind of cut the fat off, right? And see, like, okay, this is the essentials. This is what it really takes. And for her, it's just like I said to her, just happiness. Like, it's just so rare to me when you meet the person who puts their happiness first, above the money, above the social standards, above how they might be judged by their friends. Like, no. She put it really well. I think she said to her, time is the most important thing, and she will not sacrifice her time. And we all have such little time in this one life that we live, so she's not willing to compromise. She's not willing to sacrifice that time, and that's her top priority. So it's really cool. She's really genuine, and I think people like that, people who are doing it for just purely, like, genuine reasons, I think they get a following for a reason. I think people are resonating with her, and that's really cool. And I really hope that she can make this her career, you know, that she can kind of show people, and it seems like it's going in the right direction. So hopefully this helps too. Everyone should definitely, you know, check her out
for sure,
because really, really cool. Just like, you know, you never know where life's going to take you. And if she kind of is able to realize her dream because she was brave enough to take the steps to live homeless intentionally, like, that's a really cool story. That's a success story, you know?
Yeah. And it's like, it's interesting too, because, like, the way that we're wording that she chose to be homeless, it's like she did and didn't at the same time. Like, she put herself over her job, in a way, over her time, I should say, because she was like, I want to enjoy my time, and I'm not going to be able to enjoy my time, you know, with the income that I have, if I have to pay for these things. So going out of your way to be like, I'll just live in my car, and just being, and, like, there's a lot of people who have an ego too big to do something like that. That's the biggest thing that I think is so cool about her, that she's like, whatever, I'll just live in my car. And obviously it wasn't like that in the beginning, but eventually you get to that point. But there is a certain, you know, characteristic in her that is just like, I don't know the word. That's why I keep saying fucking gangster, because you're just like, fuck
that might be the
like,
word.
Like, I'll just fucking live in my car, like, to get what I want, you know, and to live the way that I want to. Like, there's just something, like, really fucking admirable about that, and I think it's awesome. So, you know, good for her. Like, it's fucking, I hope it works out.
Yeah, really cool. Glad we got to speak with her. Everyone should for sure check out her channels, Nikita Crump. Awesome. We'll follow up with her journey too down the line. Maybe get her on for a follow up. Get her in the Discord for the Patreon group, and just kind of keep in touch, see what she's up to.
For sure. And for anyone out there that wants to be a part of the show, if you have something that you think fits, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Go to oplshow.com, fill out a form, the contact page, send us an email. We go through all of them, and if it works, then we'll hit you up and we'll schedule something out with you.
Yep. Follow us on Instagram at OPL Podcast. And again, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/OPL Show. Get all those behind the scenes episodes, bonus episodes with guests that don't appear on the main channel. You get the episode where Joe wore a diaper for 24 hours. He did pee in it. A lot of good content there, and it helps support the show. So thank you guys for that. Shout out to all the patrons. And that is all.
Yep, that was all. See you guys next time.